The number of absentee ballots double in Jasper County.
Battleground states are the focus for both the Trump and Biden campaigns. I'm Skyler Henry at the White House as the candidates stump in Florida with 5 days to go until the election.
And we look at safe options for Halloween fun.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A homicide investigation is underway in Vernon County, Missouri, after a 63-year-old woman is found dead. This is KOIM News at 5. The Vernon County Sheriff says the body was found on Quail Road near the Kansas state line in the Deerfield area. Residents say it happened at this house close to the intersection with T Highway. They've requested assistance from the Missouri Highway Patrol Investigations Division. The Hot Springs, Arkansas Police Department today also released information on a suspicious package found at a Hot Springs Walmart. They found possible evidence in a trash bag in the back of a pickup truck that was later connected to the investigation in Vernon County. Through surveillance video, they discovered the package was put in the truck at a hotel the night before. Doug Heddy joins us now with the first look at the weather. Good to see the sun today, Doug.
Yeah, I mean, we had the rain all last night and then through the morning hours, and then finally it pushed out. And the clouds really broke up right behind it. So early afternoon, we started to get the sunshine, and it's actually turned out to be a pretty nice afternoon and evening. So all the rain's out of here. It's already across southeastern parts of Missouri, quickly heading away from us. And we're going to have pretty much clear skies tonight and then for the next several days, which is great news. And this is allowed because the sun is come out a little bit earlier. It has allowed our temperatures to warm up anywhere from about 50 to about 55 across the region. It is a little windy, northwesterly winds at about 10 to 15, and we're getting gusts a little bit higher than that. But through the evening hours, we'll drop back through the 40s. Cold night, near freezing tonight, but it gets better over the next few days. We're going to look at that, look at Halloween coming up here in just a bit.
All right, see you soon. With COVID concerns and other concerns, a lot of people are deciding to vote early across our nation and here in the 4 states. According to the Jasper County Clerk, Charlie Davis, the county has more than double the number of absentee ballots this year compared to the 2016 presidential election. Davis says the majority of those voting early are senior citizens and people taking advantage of the modified rules for voting absentee.
I think it was really good that the legislature did this and allowed those that are at risk an opportunity to cast their vote without experiencing the potential exposure to COVID.
Tonight at 6, a Joplin woman explains what convinced her to vote early this year. Early in-person voting is underway across Oklahoma. Polls today opened at county election board offices in all 77 counties. In some counties, voters were lined up an hour before the polls even opened. Besides President, Oklahoma voters are casting ballots for a U.S. Senate race, 5 U.S. House seats, and 2 state questions. Oklahoma in-person voting continues tomorrow and Saturday. With 5 days left to Election Day, the 2 presidential candidates descended on the Sunshine State, where more than 7 million voters have already cast early ballots. So far, more than 78 million Americans have voted early across the country. Reporter Skyler Henry has more.
President Trump played to a packed-in audience in Tampa, Florida, making a familiar appeal to the state's key voting bloc.
We're going on to win a record share of the Hispanic American vote. You see what's happening?
The president also claimed victory after news the U.S. economy grew a record 33.1% in the third quarter.
This is the biggest event in business in 50 years. Nobody's ever seen a number like this.
If Florida goes blue, it's over.
Around the same time, Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden was campaigning on the other side of the Sunshine State.
We choose hope over fear. We choose unity over division. And we choose science over fiction.
A newly released Monmouth poll shows Biden with a slight lead among registered Florida voters. While the eyes of the nation are on the race for the White House, congressional leaders are weighing in too, with the balance of power on Capitol Hill also at stake November 3rd.
We are confident, we are calm, and we are prepared. We are ready.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi expressed confidence in the election and her party's nominee. During a campaign stop in Kentucky this week, Senate Majority Leader Republican Mitch McConnell expressed optimism about his own reelection, but didn't predict whether his party would maintain control of the Senate.
I've got a lot of people up, 23 Republicans, only 12 Democrats. There are dogfights all over the country. I've said for a year it's a 50-50 proposition. It still is.
The Democrats need to gain 3 Senate seats to retake control of the Senate. If Biden wins the White House, they'll need 4 seats if President Trump wins re-election. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Now, today's KOAM News Now Instapoll. Today's question is, what concerns you most about Election Day? Your options are long lines, COVID-19, possible intimidation, or I don't have concerns. Some people are voting already. You can vote at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote or through the KOAM News Now mobile app. Results are updated live, and we're going to be checking in on them periodically throughout this newscast. U.S. Senator Jerry Moran of Kansas was in Pittsburgh today, where he talked with the Kiwanis Club. The senator tells us he believes mail-in voting is a safe option.
In fact, I met with the Postmaster General to insist that the Post Office, the Postal Service, do everything it can to make sure that all ballots that are voted are counted.
Moran says he encourages everyone to vote regardless of their political views. A little bit later, the latest numbers on our economy.
The economy explodes back to life with the biggest growth spurt ever. I'm Michael George in New York, why the experts say it's too soon to celebrate.
Plus, keeping Halloween celebrations safe. That's next in Health Watch. Our nation's top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says the number of new coronavirus cases nationwide is, quote, stunning. But he says a national mask mandate would help. Fauci says the coming cold weather and the holiday season could lead to more hospitalizations and deaths if urgent action isn't taken. The U.S. recorded nearly 79,000 new coronavirus cases yesterday, and the number of deaths rose by more than 1,000. The surge is taking an especially heavy toll in the Midwest and the Rocky Mountain states, where some hospitals are overwhelmed with patients. Kansas has set new state pandemic records for reported coronavirus cases and COVID-19 related hospitalizations. Governor Laura Kelly said in a news conference yesterday she hasn't dropped the idea of calling the Republican-controlled legislature into special session to impose a statewide mask mandate.
Case rates and hospitalizations are spiking in counties that opted out of my July mask order. And today, Kansas surpassed 1,000 total COVID-19 deaths. To put this in context, the state did not reach 500 COVID deaths until September, roughly 6 months after the pandemic began. It took a little over 6 weeks for another 500 Kansans to die.
In recognition of the 1,000 lives lost in Kansas due to the pandemic, the governor has directed that flags be lowered to half-staff until sundown tomorrow. Some COVID-19 patients experience skin problems months after they have the coronavirus. A new study from Massachusetts General Hospital looked at nearly 1,000 patients with skin symptoms. Researchers say these findings highlight another issue for so-called COVID long haulers. Though traditional trick-or-treating is going to be limited in a lot of places this year, there are plenty of ways to make the holiday fun even during this pandemic. Naomi Ruckham shows us how to keep the Halloween spirit alive.
The Anderson family won't let the pandemic scare away their Halloween fun.
What's a ghost favorite game?
For months, they've been working on this homemade light show families can admire from a safe distance.
It's something that already works perfectly within the circumstances we're in right now, which is it's like folks come up, they're in their cars, they're already distant from each other.
Checking out spooky decor is just one option. Family blogger Katie Mann has been thinking of ways for her readers to celebrate Halloween safely.
Is Halloween canceled this year?
I do not believe that Halloween is canceled, but much like all of the other things that we've seen in the past 5 or 6 months, it's going to be different no matter where you live.
Her top ideas, a virtual Halloween dance party in costume, setting up a decorative candy table in the front yard, or even a drive-by candy mobile. Many are expected to honor frontline workers this Halloween by dressing up as doctors and nurses. An added perk, the medical grade mask is a part of the costume. In Anoka, Minnesota, known as the Halloween capital of the world, the city has no plans to cancel its 100th anniversary celebration, though there will be major adjustments.
Our huge parade, our Grand Day Parade, is now going to be a drive-by parade, which will be located in several locations in our city, so that we're not gathering in one big space.
And no matter how you decide to celebrate Halloween, the CDC says cloth or surgical masks and social distancing are the best ways to protect your children. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
The CDC also recommends that if you are hosting a Halloween gathering, make sure all events take place outside and limit the number of people invited. Also, if you've had any potential exposure to COVID-19, please stay home. That is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, some encouraging economic news and what could come next.
And it took 4 days, but we finally got the rain out of here. So what is next? We're going to look at that coming up. Well, of course, we had more rain last night and through the morning hours, even some heavy amounts of rain across the region like we have seen over the past several days. Since midnight, we picked up 0.6 of an inch, and that's on top of everything that we have seen for the month prior to this system. This is at the Joplin Airport. We only had about 1/2 inch of rain. So out of this system, at least in Joplin, we picked up about 4 inches, which we needed for the year. 41.5 average is just shy of 40 inches, so we're above average by almost 2 inches, which is good because we're going to dry out quite a bit over the next week or so. Temperatures have rebounded now that we've got the sunshine out. You can see our eastern counties still hanging into the upper 40s, and then the farther west you work where the sun's been out longer, temperatures mainly into the mid 50s. But look at the cool air across the entire Central Plains from Dallas all the way up to Des Moines. Everybody is fairly cool, and we're going to have a cold night. Once again, we got these northwesterly winds kicking in at about 10 to 20, and of course we're getting gusts a little bit higher than that. It's going to stay breezy for us throughout the evening hours, and then again tonight, but you can see our winds gusting at about 20 to 25 miles per hour, and then the winds will decrease just a bit as we work into the daytime hours tomorrow. Of course, half staff due to the COVID deaths in Kansas, but looks great right now. It's 51 northwesterly winds at about 10 to 15. Humidity is at 56%. Through the evening hours, we'll drop back through the 40s, 30s. Cold night. We are going to have a freeze. We'll get down right about 32. So if you still have some plants outside that can't take it, you may want to cover them up or bring them in. Look at all the rain we had through the morning hours, rotated out right about noon, and then right behind it, the clouds have been breaking up. So you can see most of us now have mostly clear skies. This whole storm system quickly wrapping up, heading away from us. You can see the upper low finally rotating off toward the east. So let's go west. Nothing going on. This is our weather over the next 2 or 3 days. Really not too much going on. Cold night tonight. Again, we're going to drop right around freezing. So if you're getting up early, it's going to be a cold start. We're going to have clear skies. We'll have a frost. 32 in the morning, but a quick warm up through the 30s. 40s, up to 55 by noon. I think we should top out at about 61, plenty of sunshine. So any high school football games that are taking place tomorrow evening, they're going to be fine. It's going to be chilly. We're going to be into the 50s, but it looks pretty good. Everybody right around 60 degrees for a high. Let's go into tomorrow night. You can see the clear skies continue. So we're going to go through tomorrow night into Saturday morning. We start into the 40s, southerly winds take control. Look at the warm up on Halloween. Well into the 60s. You can see a cold front just to our west. It rolls in Saturday night. So by Sunday, a little bit cooler, but still the weekend looks fantastic for us over the next several days. 61 tomorrow, 63 on Halloween. So any trick-or-treaters, or if you're getting out doing evening activities, we're going to drop back through the 50s, but we're going to have clear skies. So it looks fantastic for Halloween. Of course, drop the clocks back 1 hour Saturday night. We lose an hour of evening daylight, of course, but you gain an hour of sleep. 54 on Sunday, 58 on Monday. Voting Tuesday looks fantastic. Look at our temperatures pressing 70 degrees, sunny skies.
Loving the warmer temperatures. Don't like the fact that it's going to be getting dark so early.
It always stinks.
Yes, it does. Thanks, Doug. We're going to check back in on today's KOAM News Now Instapoll. We're asking what concerns you most about Election Day. At this point, 10% say long lines. 11% say COVID-19, 24% say possible intimidation, The rest, more than half, say they don't have concerns. You can vote at KOAMnewsNow.com/vote or through the KOAM News Now mobile app. The results update live. We're going to look at some more numbers here in just a bit. Just ahead, the latest economic numbers. First, though, we recognize a local veteran of the Korean War. Iola, Kansas native Jack Franklin served in the U.S. Marine Corps from 1953 to 56. He saw time in Korea. Marine Sergeant Jack Franklin, a four-state hero. The stock market recovered some lost ground after yesterday's big sell-off. The Dow gained nearly 140 points following upbeat news about the U.S. economy. But it might be too soon to celebrate. As Michael George reports, economists are warning we're not out of the woods yet.
As businesses shuttered by the pandemic started to cautiously reopen their doors, the economy exploded back to life. The Commerce Department reporting the largest quarterly gain on record, a whopping 33% from July through September. Economists liked the news, but are already looking ahead.
It's important to effectively celebrate the rebound that we had in the third quarter, but to acknowledge the fact that it's not time to hang up the mission accomplished banner.
Even with last quarter's encouraging growth, the economy has recovered only about 2/3 of what it lost during the first half of the year when the coronavirus set off a global recession. And while weekly unemployment claims dropped to the lowest level since March, they still topped 750,000. With millions of Americans out of work and no federal stimulus money in sight, the next quarter remains a big question mark, especially as the pandemic surges and Americans pick their next president.
There's a lot going on in this pot right now, and what's sitting at the top of it is the U.S. presidential elections. We are days away from that, and the uncertainty that has been brought in and continues to be with this election is weighing on our markets.
Bankrate.com's Mark Hamrick says this is the time to have an emergency financial plan.
If we have not learned anything else from this year, it is that we're living in very uncertain times. You do not want to be living paycheck to paycheck if you can help it.
With COVID-19 cases on the rise in nearly every state, economists are predicting a slower road to recovery in the months ahead. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
United Airlines is launching the world's first free COVID-19 rapid tests on certain transatlantic flights. The airline will offer the test as part of a 4-week trial on flights between Newark and London. Passengers from the U.S. would still be subject to U.K. quarantine restrictions, but customers would know they're traveling on a plane where all of the passengers over the age of 2 have tested negative. Final check of the weather next. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, the latest on a Vernon County, Missouri homicide investigation with ties to Northwest Arkansas. Plus, more on the early voting trends in Jasper County, Missouri, and the new renditions of the proposal for Joplin's Memorial Hall. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Let's check back in on today's KOAM News Now. And to poll again the question, what concerns you most about Election Day? At this point, 7% say long lines, 12% say COVID-19, 23%, nearly a quarter, say possible intimidation, and the rest, 58%, say they don't have concerns. You can vote at KOAMnewsNow.com/vote or through the KOAM News Now mobile app. We're going to get the final results tonight on KOAM News at 6. Checking back in now with Doug Heddy.
It looks pretty good. We got the rain out of here. We got much needed widespread rain, which all of us did need. It's been pretty dry the past couple months. It is going to be cold tonight. We're going to drop back to about 32, but look at Friday, 61. Look at Halloween, 63 degrees. Sunshine for the next week. Temperature is fantastic. Even though it felt like winter the past couple days, fall is returning, which is great news.
Yes, it was a taste of winter. It will be here eventually to stay, but it's nice to get fall back for a while. Thanks for joining us. Let's take care of ourselves and each other.